Good morning, good morning. The Senate will come to order. It's time for the Senate to convene. At this time, I'll ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. Recognize Rules Chairman from the 28th to reading of the journal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. I want you to know I slept real good last night, going to bed knowing that under your fine leadership, the Georgia State Senate became the 2024 kickball champions of the world. And we got the trophy to prove it. So we appreciate everyone's participation, whether it be physically or morally or mentally, whatever you did. Mr. President, we had a great Georgian that was born on this day in 1907. And he was born in Noonan, Georgia on March 20th. And he went on to earn a law degree from the University of Georgia, was a young man on the rise, elected to the state legislature at the age of 25 and attorney general at 31, and became the 69th governor of the state of Georgia, and that was none other than Governor Ellis Arnold from my hometown. Another great Georgian born on March 20th. My son, Archibald Walker Brass, was born, and today is his 9th birthday, so I wish him a happy birthday. He's in school. But we got a lot of pages here who are not in school today, and I'm sure they're glad to be joining us. We're certainly happy to have them. Out of Hiram, Georgia, we have brothers Nicholas and Michael Byardell Adams. Out of Dallas, Georgia, we have Jacob Brinkley, Chloe Camp. Out of Appling, we have Aniston Kennedy. Out of Harlem, we have Ava Story. Out of Stone Mountain, we have Reshma Adhikari. Also out of Stone Mountain, we have Noor Al-Mashadani. Out of Lithonia, we have Valon Broiled. Out of Stonecrest, we have Chloe Jarrett. Out of Lithonia, we have Nyela Vilton. Out of Commerce, we have Haley Ricketts. Out of Claxton, we have Rush Goswick. Get to my second page. Out of Claxton, we have Carmelo Scott. Out of Dahlonega, we have Grady Smith. Out of Jasper, we have Deanna Butler. Out of Ackworth, we have Cherish Johnson. Out of Winder, we have sisters Anna and Laura Nelkin. Out of Ackworth, we have Jack E. Williams. Out of Ackworth, we have Samuel C. Williams. Out of Kennesaw, we have Anna Varner. Out of Sewanee, we have Maya Davis. Out of Cumming, we have Joya Lee. And out of Cordele, we have Benjamin Nipper. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. Look forward to working with y'all today to handle the business of the great state of Georgia. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for your contribution to the kickball championship yesterday. We appreciate that. Senator from the 2nd was big in that, and the House, man, they tried to cheat again this year, man. I'm glad we were there to watch them this year. So they had all these interns wanting to play, and they wouldn't let them play, and they just kept running the same 5 people the whole time. So I mean, it was, hey, if you got somebody who'll try to cheat at kickball now, that's somebody who'll cut you right there now. So, anyways, is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring to the Secretary's desk at this time.
Senate Bill 585 by Senator Parent of the 42nd and others. A bill to be titled Act to amend
Judiciary.
Senate Resolution 806 by Senator Harrell of the 40th and others. A resolution creating the Senate Study Committee on the impact of social media on children and platform privacy protection and for other purposes. Senate Resolution 807 by Senator Huff-Settler of the 52nd. A resolution creating the Senate
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
First reading and references of House bills.
House Bill 1425 by Representative Gillard of the 162nd and others. A bill to be titled Act to create the Weeping
State
Time.
and local government.
House Bill 1465 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Duluth, Georgia, approved March 25th.
State and local government.
House Bill 1466 by Representative Gullett of the 19th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to amend an act to create the State Court of Paulding County.
State and local government.
House Bill 1467 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to amend an act creating for a new charter for the city of Gillsville, approved April 11th.
State and local government.
House Bill 1468 by Representative Saints of the 180th. A bill to be entitled Act to authorize the governing authority of Camden County to levy an excise tax.
State and local government.
House Bill 1469 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to authorize the municipal court of the city of Emerson to
State and
change.
local government.
House Bill 1470 by Representative Mathiak of the 74th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to amend an act
State
to
and
provide.
local government.
House Bill 1471 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd and others. A bill to be entitled Act to authorize the governing
State and
authority.
local government.
House Bill 1472 by Representative Gamble of the 15th and others. A bill to be entitled Act to provide for a
State and
create.
local government.
House Bill 1483 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd. A bill to be entitled Act to amend an act for.
State and local government.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary Reed, reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 583 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Goodman of the 8th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Banking and Financial Institutions has had under consideration the following legislation and have instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 84 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Summers of the 13th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1026 do pass by substitute, Senate Resolution 703 do pass, Senate Resolution 727 do pass, and Senate Resolution 747 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Beach of the 21st District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 625 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Beach of the 21st District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 81 do pass, House Bill 987 do pass, House Bill 282 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 51 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Education and Youth has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 579 do pass by substitute and House Bill 1104 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman. Additionally, dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report on House Bill 1104, which Education and Youth passed out on Tuesday, March 19, 2024. Respectfully submitted, Senator Elena Parent. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Ethics has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 974 do pass by substitute, House Bill 977 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 1207 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burns of the 23rd District Chairman. Additionally, dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of House Bill 1207, which ethics passed out on Monday, March 18th, 2024. Sincerely yours, Senator Gloria Butler of the 55th District Chair. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Finance has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 101 do pass by substitute, House Bill 283 do pass by substitute, House Bill 581 do pass by substitute, House Resolution 1022 do pass by substitute, House Bill 170 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1019 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1020 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 308 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huff-Settler of the 52nd District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Government Oversight has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 925 do pass by substitute and House Bill 1253 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harmon of the 16th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 994 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 909 do pass by substitute, House Bill 986 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1361 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1172 do pass, House Bill 1409 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1022 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1255 do pass, House Bill 1283 do pass, House Bill 926 do pass by substitute, House Bill 993 do pass by substitute, and House Bill 1292 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 809 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1260 do pass by substitute, House Bill 839 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1264 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1096 do pass, House Bill 843 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 206 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burns of the 28th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Science and Technology has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 988 do pass by substitute and Senate Bill 476 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Setzler of the 37th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that Senate Bill 580 do pass, House Bill 1346 do pass, House Bill 1446 do pass, House Bill 1448 do pass, House Bill 1451 do pass, House Bill 1456 do pass, House Bill 1458 do pass, House Bill 1319 do pass, House Bill 1320 do pass, House Bill 1460 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator again of the 47th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1374 do pass, House Bill 1447 do pass, and House Bill 1461 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator again of the 47th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation that House Bill 1058 do pass, House Bill 1193 do pass, and House Bill 516 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Dolezal of the 27th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary read bills and resolutions for the second time.
Senate Resolution 476 by Senator Alvarez of the 56th and others. Senate Study Committee on Artificial Intelligence create. Senate Resolution 703 by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others. Federal government regulatory overreach impacting the chemical industry and reevaluate proposed restrictions urge. Senate Resolution 727 by Senator Mallow of the 2nd and others. Georgia's Creative Economy Study Committee create. Senate Resolution 747 by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others. Historic Rural Church Trail. Local governments and regional commissions for reasons 5, 7, and 12 establishment urge. House Bill 84 by Representative Rhodes of the 124th and others. Commerce and Trade provide for commercial financing disclosures. House Bill 101 by Representative Crowe of the 118th and others. Income tax change certain divisions. House Bill 282 by Representative Manner of the 56th and others. Quality Basic Education Act, minimum core study and career readiness education for students in grades 6 through 12 provide. House Bill 283 by Representative Camp of the 135th and others. Sales and use tax, change manner and method of imposing and collecting taxes on new manufactured single-family structures. House Bill 516 by Representative McCollum of the 30th and others, Transportation Department of increased minimum amount for a public road construction or maintenance contract that prohibits negotiation. House Bill 581 by Representative Blackman of the 146 and others, audits and accounts Department of revised deadlines, selection criteria, and required contents for certain annual economic analysis. House Bill 583 by Representative Hagan of the 156 and others, food, drugs, and cosmetics, authorized production and sale of homemade food items with certain exemptions, requirements, and disclosures. House Bill 625 by Representative Mathis of the 149th and others, coroners, full-time county employees provide. House Bill 809 by Representative Powell of the 33rd, occupational therapists perform dry needling as physical agent modality if certain training and education requirements are met, authorized. House Bill 839 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th and others, Social Work Licensure Compact Act enact. House Bill 843 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others, alcoholic beverages, 70 sales for consumption on the premises in locally designated special entertainment districts provide. House Bill 909 by Representative Hagan of the 156 and others, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, restriction of seal of First Offenders Act provide. House Bill 925 by Representative Sains of the 180th and others, protecting religious assembly in states of emergency, praise Act enact. House Bill 926 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, Second Chance Workforce Act enact. House Bill 974 by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others, Secretary of State establish and maintain a statewide system for the posting of scanned paper ballots acquire. House Bill 977 by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others, elections, number of contests subject to risk limiting audits expand. House Bill 986 by Representative Thomas of the 21st and others, elections, election interference with deepfake, establish criminal offense. House Bill 987 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd and others, education grants revised definition of qualified local school system school by reducing the minimum required mileage rate or equivalent mileage rate from 14 miles to 10 mils. House Bill 988 by Representative Thomas of the 21st and others, Georgia Technology Authority, annual inventory of artificial intelligence usage by state agencies provide. House Bill 993 by Representative Powell of the 33rd and others, crimes and offenses, grooming a minor for indecent purposes provided for offense. House Bill 994 by Representative Powell of the 33rd and others, torts, negligent operations of a vessel, revised liability. House Bill 1019 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, revenue and taxation, statewide homestead exemption from certain ad valorem taxes increase. House Bill 1020 by Representative Sains of the 180th and others, income tax credit, military zones that qualify for a designation as less developed areas arise. House Bill 1022 by Representative Sains of the 180th and others, Colton McNeil Act enact. House Bill 1026 by Representative Hagan of the 156 and others, state government, Southeast Georgia Soapbox Derby as official soapbox derby of the state of Georgia designate. House Bill 1058 by Representative McDonald of the 26 and others, motor vehicles, federal regulations regarding safe operation of motor carriers and commercial motor vehicles, update reference date. House Bill 1096 by Representative Washburn of the 144th and others, professional licensing boards, continuing education tracking solution to monitor compliance of licenses with applicable continuing education requirements, establish. House Bill 1172 by Representative Burchett of the 176 and others, water rights, public trust doctrine, remove references. House Bill 1193 by Representative McDonald of the 26 and others, motor vehicle require operation of flashing or revolving amber lights upon certain vehicles. House Bill 1207 by Representative Fleming of the 114th and others, elections proofing of ballots by local superintendents in certain races provide. House Bill 1243 by Representative Anderson of the 10th and others, Community Affairs Department of, revised composition of governing council for regional commissions. House Bill 1255 by Representative Jones of the 60th, the Terry Act enact. House Bill 1260 by Representative Gaines of the 120th and others, Georgia Nicotine Vapor Products Directory Act enact. House Bill 1264 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others, professions and businesses establish a professional health program to provide for monitoring and rehabilitation of impaired healthcare professionals, authorized. House Bill 1283 by Representative Persinger of the 119 and others, juvenile code, use of deadly weapons, revised provisions. House Bill 1292 by Representative McCoy of the 102nd and others, property, clerks of superior courts obtain photographic identification cards of individuals who present deeds or other instruments for recording require. House Bill 1361 by Representative Thomas of the 21st and others, crimes and offenses, distribution of computer-generated obscene material depicting a child prohibit. House Bill 1409 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd and others, torts, mental health care providers limit liability under certain circumstances. House Resolution 1022 by Representative Camp of the 135th and others, local government option to offer a statewide homestead exemptions from ad valorem taxes when current year assessed value exceeds the inflation rate, provide constitutional amendment. House Bill 579 by Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Act, revise prior school year requirement. House Bill 1104, Quality Basic Education Act, address mental health risks for student athletes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Recognize the senator from the 51st.
Good morning. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse a senator from the 29th. The whip. He's inside the building somewhere. We can't find him.
Without objection, there he is. He objected to your motion, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 17th.
Ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 20th for business outside the chamber.
Without objection, the senator from the 20th is excused. Recognize the senator from the 49th.
Ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 48th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 48th is excused. Recognize the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 27th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 27th is excused. Recognize the senator from the 33rd. A little slow on the draw today, Senator. You all right?
We're working on it, sir. Thank you. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 38th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 38th is excused. Recognize the senator from the 7th.
I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 9th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 9th is excused. Any other motions to excuse? Secretary will call the roll. Senator, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary, unlock the machine. It is now time for the morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask the doorkeepers to secure the chamber at this time. I now recognize the senator from the 53rd to lead us in our pledge and introduce our pastor of the day. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Stand for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Georgia flag.
I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
Senators, I bring to you today a pastor who's not from my district, a little unorthodox in this chamber. But no matter where we go in the world, we should always find good gospel. And that is Pastor Chuck Ramsey. Not only has he been great gospel for myself, but also for my team. I tell you, this man has touched me in ways that he will never know. He pastors Restoration Church in Alpharetta. Pastor, welcome to the Senate. Give him a good message.
Thank you, Colton. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be with you today, and I don't take this lightly. I want to talk to you just for a couple minutes about time. And I wonder, do you know how to tell the time? People who know how to tell what time it is who value it appropriately and spend it wisely are blessed. Not only are they blessed, but they're a blessing to others. In the ancient scriptures, there are two words in the original language that we only have one word, time. But in the scriptures, there's more than one word. One is the word chronos, from which we get the word chronological. And it has to do with the measure of time. It's seconds, it's minutes, it's hours, days, weeks, months, and years. And it's just tick, tock, tick, tock. And most people spend their lives just in a monotonous tick-tock world, no pun intended. People just going through the motions. My wife and I have 7 children, and those 7 children have turned into 5 grandchildren with more to come. My mother-in-law is one of 27 children. And people ask, you must really love children. Actually, I don't. I don't even like them at all. But I love my wife. And I find out loving my wife, the fruit of that is their children. And we look back over the 30 plus years that we've raised our children in North Atlanta. And we ask ourselves all the time, where has the time gone? And I know you've asked yourself the same question. And it's when most people on planet Earth just live going through the motions, and they don't know how to tell the time. The other word in the scriptures is the word kairos. And kairos is when it's a special moment. And we know that not all moments are created equally. Most of us, our life story will be told with the few kairos moments we were given. And a kairos moment is a time when there's a special opportunity, there's a unique season, and there's an opportunity for significant good or significant evil. In the ancient scriptures, we see there are moments like what we're living in. The Bible says that when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son. The scriptures say to a little woman who had a woman, when the scriptures in ancient times, women didn't have the same value or rights. But a leader said to a woman named Esther, perhaps God can help your people because he's brought you to this moment for such a time as this. There were leaders in ancient scriptures, leaders. They were called the sons of Issachar, and it said about them, they understood the time and they knew what to do, and they did it. Everybody knows we're in a kairos era in human history. Depression, anxiety, worry, uncertainty is ruling the day. Got 2 text messages yesterday morning from a good friend of mine, Carter Conlon, who pastored the Times Square Church in New York City. He's retired now, but because of the outrageous number of suicides happening in Ivy League schools, he's been invited in to help these kids with great promise, destiny, gifted, bright young men and women. Everybody everywhere knows we are in a unique season of time. My prayer for you today is that you recognize this is not a season for you to go through the motions. This is a season that's calling for real leaders to stand up, know how to tell the time, understand what needs to be done, and then have the courage to get it done. It was said in the Gospel of John about Jesus, a unique person. It was said about him that the people around him, it said, they beheld his glory, the glory of God, because Jesus came full of grace and truth. Not full of grace with a little bit of truth, and not full of truth with a little bit of grace, but he came full of both of those things. And because of that, the people observed glory. What is glory? Glory is when truth and grace rules the day, and heaven comes to the earth, and people fare well. I want to pray for you in just a second, but I urge you, it's a privilege to live in the state of Georgia. God has been good to us. May he continue to be good to us. But I want to encourage you, men and women, highly esteemed, elected, that many, many people are sincerely praying for you in this hour. You know, maybe better than I do, but I can tell you from the people I pastor up in North Fulton, we've never seen what we see right now. And we need people to recognize what time it is, to stand up and courageously do the right thing. Let's pray together. Father, eternal Father, I thank you for the state of Georgia. You have blessed us. You've delivered us. We've gotten better. There's some things we used to do that we no longer do. And it's because good men and women stood in the gap and made decisions to correct things. They weren't in a TikTok world just showing up at the office and going home. They risked their reputation, their security, their safety. Men and women throughout history have given their lives not only for this nation, but for this state. And I pray, Lord, as you taught us how to pray, our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. May your kingdom come in the earth as it is in heaven. May your will supersede our will, and may your will be done as it is in heaven. Let it be in the earth, in the state of Georgia. May the blueprint of heaven be released and enacted in this season of history. I pray that you would help us to know we are forgiven and we can forgive others. Oh God, I pray that you would not lead us into temptation, but that you would deliver us from evil, that we would have the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, the shield of faith. May our hearts be protected by the breastplate of righteousness. And may we gird our loins about with a belt of truth and integrity. Our feet, may we be carried from one room to the other, bringing peace by the shoes, the gospel of peace, praying in the Spirit on all occasions. And having done everything we can do, may we stand in your strength. Eternal God, in this hour, in this nation, and in this chamber, we ask for full grace and truth, that we might once again continue to behold your glory. In the name of the eternal, incarnate Word throughout the earth, I pray. Amen.
It is now time to recognize our Doctor of the Day. And do that, I'm going to recognize the senator from the 56th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excited to once again have Dr. Brett Cannon here, who has been down many times to serve us as Doctor of the Day. He earned his undergraduate degree and his medical degrees from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He then trained in emergency medicine right here at Emory University, where he served as a chief resident. And after completing his residency, Dr. Cannon also earned an MBA from the University of Georgia, as well as a law degree from Syracuse University. That's an amazing amount of degrees in education. Dr. Cannon joined Apollo MD in 2000 and has served in numerous roles, bringing his expertise in emergency, department flow, efficiency, healthcare economics, and health system logistics. Currently, Dr. Cannon has a joint role as president within his group and chief of emergency medicine service line for Wellstar Health System. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Cannon, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here as current president of Georgia College of Emergency Physicians. It is GSEP week at the Capitol this week, so the medical aid station is staffed with ER physicians who are delighted to be here. As always in the ER, we say we're happy to be here and hope you don't need us. So thank you.
All right. Glad to have you down. It is our honor to welcome and recognize the leadership of Spelman College. We have our president of Spelman here today. There. As many of you know, it is well represented here in the great state of Georgia, and a historic all-women's college here, and I've known many of my classmates from high school who graduated from Spelman. So it's got a proud tradition here in the state of Georgia, and we're glad to have them here today. Secretary, read the resolution, please.
Senate Resolutions 803 and 816 by Senator Davenport of the 44th and others, recognizing March 20th, 2024 as Spelman College Day at the state capitol, recognizing Dr. Helene D. Gale for her outstanding service as president of Spelman College, and for other purposes. Whereas Spelman's Presidential Search Committee sought a visionary who embodied Spelman's mission of academic excellence and global leadership, and with a unanimous selection by the Spelman College Board of Trustees, Dr. Helene D. Gale was chosen to become Spelman's 11th president. And whereas Spelman College Day at the state capitol serves as an opportunity to interact with our state legislators and advocate for legislation that impacts women, children, our institution, and marginalized communities by informing and enlightening the Spelman College community, women who make a choice to change the world, and the Georgia community as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Spelman College, President Dr. Helene D. Gale, and the college faculty, students, staff, alumni, and friends of Spelman College for their many years of dedicated service to excellence in education, as well as recognize March 20th, 2024 as Spelman College Day at the state capitol. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to adoption of resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Proud. It's my pleasure to introduce the senator from the 44th, who is a proud alumni from Spelman College. So, Senator.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am honored today to welcome the Spelman College family to the Georgia State Capitol for Spelman Day. We received an excellent educational experience at Spelman College and the Atlanta University Center Complex. Spelman College was founded in 1881 and has long been recognized as the leading educator of women of African descent and is now named among the top 100 liberal arts colleges in the nation and is one of the most selective women colleges in the United States. Spelman College is #1 producer of black women who earn PhD degrees in STEM fields. The college recognition among liberal arts colleges by U.S. News and World Report ranks Spelman #1 HBCU, #2 top performer in social mobility, #11 best learning environment, #15 most innovative school, and then #19 best undergraduate liberal arts college arts teaching program. We have persons in the gallery, but joining me on stage is the 11th president, Dr. Helene D. Gales of Spelman College, Ms. Fatima Latipour, Associate Vice President of Office of Government and Community Relations, raise your hand. Ms. Crystal Sidbury, Atlanta Chapter President of the National Alumni Association. Ms. Karen Wood, Advocacy and Social Action Chair of the National Alumni Association of Spelman College. In the gallery, former legislator, served in the Georgia House, class of Spelman 1969, Judge Betty Ann Hart. And all the Spelman College alumni and family in the gallery, please stand where we can salute you. Woo! Dr. Gale, the 11th president of Spelman College, will come at this time to greet you, but before she comes, I want to make sure that we know that she is the new president of Spelman, and we have a resolution for her. I want you to know a couple things about her. She is a pediatrician, trained public health physician, epidemiologist with expertise in economic development, humanitarian causes, and health issues. Her professional career includes CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for Global Health Issues, the CEO of CARE, a leading international humanitarian organization, and the president and CEO of the Chicago Community Trust. Her achievements and accomplishments goes on and on and on, but please welcome the 11th president of Spelman College, Dr. Helena Gale. That's yours too.
Well, I'm going to try to be brief because I know you got a lot of business to accomplish today, but I just want to say how proud and pleased I am to be here on behalf of all my Spelman community, my Spelman colleagues who are joining me here. This is such a special day for us. You know, Senator Davenport has been such a wonderful champion for Spelman, and you know, we know she represents the state so well. It's wonderful to be joined by Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who, along with Senator Sonia Halpern, came and visited Spelman's campus and had a chance to see the magic that goes on there, the incredible, bright young women who all believe that they can take on the world and make a difference. And so I am just so pleased. Senator Davenport read a lot of the different statistics. We are proud to be the #1 HBCU in the nation, but we're also proud to be one of the top 10 women's liberal arts colleges, #2 in economic mobility, which means so much, that says our students investing in our students is a good investment in their future, but also the future of our nation, our economy. We know we add to the economic value of Georgia and to Atlanta. We want to do more. We believe we can do more for our neighborhood. We believe we can do more in so many different ways. So I just am so proud and pleased to be here. Thank you for this incredible honor. I also just want to recognize my dear friend, Senator Nan Orak, who I have known since my days at CDC back in the 1980s. Hate to say it, but you know, this is this is my third incarnation here in Atlanta. I love this city. I love this state. And I want to do all that I can to make sure that Spelman is doing its part to contribute to this incredible state. So thank you very much for this honor. This means so much to us, so much for being here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We have some special guests here today, and we celebrate the work they've done in Henry County, but we're also sad that they lost the patriarch who started it all there in Henry County. And if you have school kids, you've probably heard of the Strawberry Farm facility, Southern Bell Farms there in Henry County. My good friend Jake Carter here, he and I were at the University of Georgia together, and they were small town farmers back then, and they had an idea and a concept, and they ran with that concept, and it's become a huge success there in Middle Georgia. And we lost their father earlier this year, but a good man, and I'm glad that Senator from the 17th is here to recognize them today. Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 741 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others. A resolution honoring the life and memory of James Cone Jimmy Carter Jr. and for other purposes. Whereas he served with the United States Army from 1970 to 1972, and whereas he was a true farmer at heart and enjoyed operating Southern Bell Farm, and whereas he was a member of the Henry County Water Authority Board and spent 18 years as an elected member of the Henry County Board of Education, and whereas he gave inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens, and a compassionate and generous man, he will long be remembered for his love of family, friendship, and community. Therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body join in honoring the life and memory of James Cone Jimmy Carter Jr. and express their deepest and most sincere regret at his passing. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 17th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to get to
do this recognition for Mr. Carter and his family today. Joining me up here is his wife, Kathy, his son, Jake, and his wife, Jennifer, and also his daughters, Carmen, Brandon, and Holly Cobb. Also up in the gallery, we have some other granddaughters up there, and spouse, and also Holly, Wes Cobb, Holly's husband as well. As Lieutenant Governor mentioned, a lot of y'all may know the Carter family from Southern Bell Farm in McDonough. Before that, Mr. Carter spent his whole life serving our community. It would have been much easier for a farmer with a big family to spend his life on his farm, focusing just on that, and it would have been honorable just to recognize him for that. But he felt an obligation to serve his community in a really bigger way. And he served on the Henry County Board of Education, the Ag South Farm Credit Board, the Ag First Credit Board, the Farm Credit Council, Henry County Water Authority Board, and the Henry County Farm Bureau. He was so involved in our community that he was named Henry County Citizen of the Year back in 2013. He also is a member of Bethany Baptist Church, where he served as a deacon and taught Sunday school for years. When you look at Southern Bell Farm, which came later in his life, the farm itself was his family farm that was a milk-producing farm for some time, beef cattle farm, and back in 2005, a story I heard, I believe, Jake, when you were getting married, there was a barn constructed out there, and it started as just a barn in 2005 that grew into a first corn maze the following year, and now the number I read is you have over 30,000 school children every single year go to Southern Bell Farm. And these are kids that didn't grow up on a farm like some of us did, and they're getting to learn where their food comes from and learn the importance of the family farm. And the Carter family legacy will live on forever, and the impact they're making on tens of thousands of Georgians every single year as we continue to stress the importance of protecting the family farm. In addition to that, when we also want to celebrate the way he lived his life overall. Anyone that came in contact with Mr. Carter got to experience Christ. He lived his family in a way that honored the Lord first, and his legacy lives on in his family and Southern Bell Farm. It's my honor to get to take a second today to celebrate Mr. Carter. I want to ask his son, Jake, if he wants to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Senator, and thank you, Mr. President, members of this body. I can't tell you how humbled and honored we are to have this done for my dad today. I know the members, when you probably heard my dad's name and in correlation to a farmer from Georgia, Jimmy Carter, and my dad was probably not the first person that you thought of. And I can't tell you how many prank calls that we got at my house when I was a kid. But my dad, till his final breath, lived up to his name. He knew who his name was. He knew who he was. And as Brian mentioned, he was a follower of Jesus Christ and lived that out. He didn't just talk it, he lived it. And he taught us, more than anything, that we were brought into this world to serve and not be served, that we were to serve others and not ourselves. And we will continue living out his legacy and working in the right direction. So thank you again. We appreciate the kind words today. So thank you so much.
Our last presentation today is another situation where we're honoring the life and legacy of a young lady and her family that were thrust into the national spotlight here recently from a very, very tough situation in Athens, Georgia. Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 756 by Senator Moore of the 53rd and others. A resolution honoring the life and memory of Laken Hope Riley and for other purposes. Whereas the state of Georgia mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished citizens with the passing of Laken Hope Riley on February 22nd, 2024. And whereas Laken Hope Riley was born on January 10th, 2002 in Marietta, Georgia, a beloved daughter of William Jason Riley and Allison Phillips. And whereas with a deep passion for caring for others, she attended the University of Georgia, where she was a beloved member of the Alpha Chi Rho sorority, and later began a nursing program at the Augusta Medical College's Athens campus. And whereas a young woman of enduring and abiding faith, Laken Hope Riley served the Lord as part of Woodstock City Church and Watkinsville First Baptist Church, dedicating innumerable hours of her time and energy to aiding her community and participating in mission trips. And whereas she gave inspiration to many through her high ideals, morals, and deep concern for her fellow citizens. And whereas she was a person of magnanimous strengths with an unimpeachable reputation for integrity, intelligence, fairness, and kindness, and by the example she made of her life, she made this world a better place in which to live. And whereas a compassionate and generous young woman, Laken Hope Riley will long be remembered for her love of family, friendship, and community, and will be missed by all who had the great fortune of knowing her. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body join in honoring the life and memory of Laken Hope Riley and express their deepest and most sincere regret at her passing. That completes the order, Mr. President.
As I said, we're joined today by the father of Laken and a stepmother and two step siblings here, Kaylee and Jackson. This family's been thrust into the national spotlight, and it is a tragic situation. I appreciate all the members of the body standing, because I like us, before we introduce the senator from the 53rd to speak to the resolution, I like that we take a moment and have a moment of silence here for the family. Amen. Thank you. Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. I recognize the senator from the 53rd to speak to the resolution and introduce the family. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to recognize and present this resolution to a beloved Georgian, a young woman whose legacy shall be felt for generations, a young woman whose virtue was caring for others. She proved it her entire life. She wanted to be a nurse at a young age, and she pursued that even in high school, excelling to the top of her class. When she became a bulldog, excelling to the top of her class in all forms of curriculum, and when she attended Augusta University there in Athens. You see, Laken belongs to the Riley family, but she could have belonged to any of our families, for she is a Georgian like all of us. I'm honored to stand at the rostrum with her father, Jason Riley, her stepmother, Amanda Riley, and Jackson and Kaylee Riley. Jackson, he told me earlier today he wants to be in law enforcement. And I said, well, if you're going to be in law enforcement, go for the best. Go be a state trooper. And he saw many state troopers today. Kaylee, she loves basketball. And I hope that she makes it to that Stegman Coliseum one day. You see, Lakin Riley's legacy will live on. But may the Senate recognize that her life was ended by an evil that we will never recognize. And I pray that we never see. I pray that this Senate separate personalities and that we can come together and that we can pass legislation that is necessary and proper, that we don't have a situation like Lakin Riley in the near future, in our lifetime, or in Georgia's generations to come. Senators, I'd like to introduce you to Jason Riley, Lakin Hope Riley's father.
Thank you, Senator Moore, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Good morning, senators and citizens. I stand before you a heartbroken man. Part of my purpose has been taken. God gave me a beautiful daughter to father, protect, provide for, and nurture. A man with an evil heart stole her life. He was in this country and in this state illegally. My vision for every senator in this chamber is that you protect citizens from this illegal invasion. Please recognize over 1 million illegal aliens are in this state and making families nervous. Please recognize Athens Clarke is a sanctuary city, and this policy and the lack of action led to the murder of my daughter. There are a few of you in this chamber that are standing up and working on a solution to protect us. For that, my family is thankful. Lakin is thankful. Governor Kemp, please declare an invasion to detain and deport criminal illegals so we can prevent future families from those tragedies. Hundreds of women and children each month that are being smuggled, coerced, and trafficked in our state. They are victims just like Lakin. I thank you for honoring Lakin in this way, and I humbly ask you to do more to protect us. She and my family mean the world to me. I'd like to also recognize Senator Colton Moore and Michael Gargiulo, are great men fighting for freedom and security in our state. They were there for our family throughout this process. I thank them and each of you for this opportunity to hear from our family and to hear our cry for help so we can protect others, as Lakin would have wanted. God be with our state and each of you. Thank you.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? I recognize the senator from the first for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today, hopefully following what our pastor of the day says, truth and grace. There was an article in the AJC today relating to Medicaid and Medicaid expansion. And I just want to point out the fact that there are 730,000 people in our Georgia waiver to the ACA, which is the 1332, now called Access. And that's from 100% up to 138%. 730,000 people that were not even mentioned in that article. So I think that's a little bit of, parsing that and a little bit of misrepresentation. But let's follow the truth and the grace that the pastor had with us today. I think it's important to note that that percentage is 97% paid for by the federal and the national exchange through the ACA, and next year through the state exchange will be 100% paid by the federal government, and they'll have no premiums and no copays relating to that. That's 730,000 people that were not even mentioned in that article, and I think that's important to note. And with that, Mr. President, I'll yield the well.
Recognize the Senator from the 9th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, members. I rise today to honor the Brookwood High School girls swim and dive team. If y'all are up in the gallery, yes? Stand up. Stay right there. The dive team won the 2023-2024 GHSA 7A State Swimming and Diving Championship. The young ladies on the Brookwood High swim and dive team have established and maintained a tradition of excellence, resilience, and teamwork that has led them to their first state championship title in 5 years. It is abundantly proper to call these young women champions, and especially during Women's History Month. We are so proud to commend these young swimmers for their dedication and months of training. They're in the gallery, as you guys see. Let's give them a warm welcome, members. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Recognize the Senator from the 12th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I rise to honor Coach Hannah Hayden and the Georgia Southwestern State University of Americus, Georgia, the women's basketball team. They are the Southeast Regional Champions. They have advanced to the Elite Eight of the NCAA Division II National Tournament and will play Minnesota State on Monday, March 25th in St. Joseph's, Missouri. And go Canes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Recognize the Senator from the 39th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everybody. I would like to take a moment to recognize the organization Black Art in America, who is here in the gallery today. Today, we celebrate not only their incredible work as a whole, but also their first anniversary of their stunning gallery in East Point, Georgia. Black Art in America's impact extends far beyond this past year. For over a decade, their mission has been clear: to use art as a powerful tool for exploring diverse identities, histories, and cultures. Founded by Atlanta-based artist Najee Dorsey, Black Art in America has been a champion for Black visual art since its inception in 2010. They provided countless hours of free educational resources, fostered a vibrant community through workshops and artist profiles, and even brought art to the public with free exhibitions. Their impact extends beyond the gallery walls as they collaborate with organizations to raise funds through art initiatives. And to top it off, Black Art in America offers a comprehensive range of services to empower both established and emerging artists. Please join me in giving a round of applause in recognition of Black Art in America for their significant contributions to artistic and cultural landscape in Georgia and beyond. Thank you. I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 51st for appointed personal privilege.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President. Sounds like everybody wants to celebrate the youth in our state with all the success of all the sports teams. I want to do the same thing. Today we have a couple of wrestlers from the Gilmer County High School who were named Wrestlers of the Year by the Georgia Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Taylor Scheiser was recognized as the female FCA Wrestler of the Year and is Gilmer County's first female four-time Georgia High School Association's placer. She plans to continue wrestling in college. Carson Ferris was recognized as the male FCA Wrestler of the Year and is a three-time GHSA state finalist. He helped his team achieve traditional state championships in back-to-back seasons and was a state champion in 2021. Both of these outstanding athletes exemplify what it means to be a follower of Christ and strive to be a positive force for their teams. I'd like to thank the parents, the coaches, and all the others who have trained and mentored these two leaders over the past few years. We're very proud of Taylor and Carson, and we look forward to all that they accomplish in their future. And I believe the family and the two athletes are in the gallery above, so y'all give them a warm Senate welcome from Gilmer County. Thank y'all for being here. I'd like to also, if I may, Mr. President, brag on my University of North Georgia basketball team, just as the senator from the 12th was bragging on her girls' team. The University of North Georgia Nighthawks won the championship last night in Dahlonega. They won the Southeastern Regional Championships. They won several games over the weekend, and we're off to the NCAA Division II Elite Eight. We'll be going to Indiana next week, so let's hear it for the Nighthawks of North Georgia. Thank you, sir.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. Today, we recognize the 52nd anniversary of the Congress passing the Equal Rights Amendment, ERA, to the states. Senator Donzella James and I are honored to have been among the the senators of the past, including Senator Nan Orrock and Senator Gloria Butler, and others, to introduce resolutions for the ratification of the ERA to the U.S. Constitution, the law of the land. Now, hundreds of years since its introduction, 52 years from being passed to the states and 4 years to ratification of the 38 required states, stands Georgia. I recognize today the League of Women Voters of Georgia President Nicola Hines, First Vice President Jackie Killings, and State Advocacy Director and ERA advocates who couldn't be with us today. For the Educate the State Lobby Day today, featuring the ERA and including the League top priority issues. I thank all of the ERA advocates continuing to work towards equity, equality, and non-discrimination for all. Finally, I finally take the privilege for my colleagues currently championing the Equal Rights Amendment resolution and recognize Senator Sally Harrell and myself as fighters for the cause. Now, will any members of the League of Women Voters and Voters of Georgia and other ERA partners, if you're going to stand upstairs, please stand, and let's give them an applause. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Recognize the Senator from the 22nd for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we have the honor of being joined by HCA Healthcare Georgia and their representatives representing that organization. They have 5 hospitals in the state of Georgia with 6 surgery centers, over 9,000 employees, 1,300 physicians, and even more importantly, they have treated over 825,000 Georgians around the state, and they have contributed more than $130 million in uncompensated care. Those persons that are represented here today are Matt Hosrick from Memorial Health Meadows Hospital, Dale Neely with Memorial Satilla Health, Brad Talbert with Memorial Health University Medical Center, Don Avery from Fairview Park Hospital, and Joanna Conley with Doctors Hospital of Augusta, Georgia. And I believe they're in the gallery, and I ask to please recognize them and recognize our great Georgians who are helping with health care. Thank you so much. And with that, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Recognize the Senator from the 16th for appointed personal privilege. Senator from the 16th for appointed personal privilege. Senator Harbin. You up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate your time and helping us to recognize. This morning, I'm here to recognize one of our industries in our district, the Renai America Corporation. Some of you probably have their product in your home because they have one of the best water heaters, tankless water heaters in the industry. And this morning, we have with us Frank Windsor, who's the president. If you'll raise your hand, he's here with us. And then Perry McGuire is the vice president and general counsel. Perry was also a state senator from 93 to 96. So he has been here before from that standpoint. And he also ran for attorney general in 2006. I come to you this morning to address some issues that are affecting businesses in our districts, my district specifically. I bring forth a matter of utmost importance that just as the state of Georgia, but its very fabric of American business and innovation we need to address. I rise to speak on behalf of Renai America Corporation, a beacon of ingenuity, progress in our state, and to shed light on the concerning developments that threaten its existence. Ronald Reagan once said, in his statement was this: if it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. Today, I fear that we are witnessing the perfect illustration of this sentiment in action. The Department of Energy, the Federal Department of Energy, under the guise of promoting energy efficiency, is posed to enact regulations that will spell doom. Renai America Corporation, the manufacturer, is the leading brand of tankless water heaters in North America. This Georgia-based company, with $70 million invested in a plant in Griffin, Georgia, is a state-of-the-art facility and employs over 150 skilled people. The irony is this: in the name of energy efficiency, the DOE seeks to ban highly effective tankless water heaters with like those that are produced by Renai in favor of outdated, less efficient technology. This decision not only defies logic, but also exposes the administration's anti-job, anti-innovation, and anti-business agenda. Our Georgia company has pioneered a product that is over 20% more efficient than traditional gas tank water heaters. Yet, instead of championing this innovation, the government is acting and favoring antiquated solutions over this progress. It's a travesty that cannot go unchallenged. I call upon our elected representatives, partly our two U.S. senators, to take a stand against the assault on Georgia enterprises. While our congressional delegation has shown support for Renai, our senators have not exhibited the same level of vigor. It is unacceptable that they refuse to engage with the president of Renai, ignoring pleas for a vital contribution to our state's economy. We cannot afford to stand by idly as Washington bureaucrats dictate the fate of businesses. We must demand better from our leaders and resist the encroachment of radical policies that jeopardize jobs, investments, and exodus of American companies to other countries is a clear warning sign that we must actively and act decisively to reverse the trend. I implore our U.S. senators to heed the call of duty and vigorously oppose the DOE's misguided regulations. Let us rally together in defense of Renai America Corporation and all Georgia businesses that are here that are under the threat of government regulation at the federal level that we need to be protected from. For that, thank you very much, Mr. President, for your time, and I ask that you would support our businesses, and Renai is one that we need to support from over-regulation by our federal government. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator, and I will echo Senator's remarks there. The Renai company is a 150-year-old private company that has set up a beautiful manufacturing facility in Griffin, Georgia, just in the last 5 years. In fact, I think they officially opened in 2020 during the pandemic. They employ almost 300 people there locally, working-class families that are employed there. And I have spoken to both our U.S. senators about the EPA regulations that are threatening their very existence. So this is something that should not be a partisan issue. It should be something that we need to be mindful for, because in Middle Georgia, there's 300 plus families' livelihoods that are at stake because of some useless, needless regulations that the federal government is trying to push down. So I appreciate the senator bringing that forward, and I appreciate the leadership for Renai being here today. I now recognize the senator from the 6th for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, colleagues. I stand to recognize Georgia's special education teachers this morning for all of their work and their crucial role in our education system. As a state, we are committed to providing a quality education for all, including those with special needs. And our special education teachers play a crucial role in ensuring that students with special needs receive the support and resources necessary to achieve academic success. And with this dedication, compassion, and expertise, these teachers significantly contribute to the well-being and development of children with special needs. So colleagues, we are joined by a couple special education teachers and John Adams, who leads Education's First. Please join me in commending the teachers who dedicate their lives to those with special needs by welcoming them here to the Capitol this morning. If you could stand and let's give them a round of applause. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Recognize the senator from the 18th for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President. You know, a few days ago we had some people from Peach County here and we were recognizing them as the 100th anniversary of Peach County. Well, that was the smart folks that came. We've now brought the pretty people from Peach County. We've got some beautiful young ladies, and I rise this morning to recognize Miss Georgia Peach Scholarship Pageant Organization and the 2023 Peach Queens. I'll give them a good Senate welcome. The Miss Georgia Peach Scholarship Pageant originated in, yes, Peach County in 1982. I want to thank the Pilot Club of Fort Valley who conceived of this pageant. And the Miss Georgia Peach Scholarship Pageant serves to build confidence in these beautiful young women who will be the future leaders of Georgia, all the while acknowledging those who make positive contributions to our communities. And so, ladies, thank you for what y'all are doing today, but also the future leaders you're going to be for us tomorrow. Let me specifically recognize the 5 young ladies that were crowned as the 2023 Peach Queens. Includes Miss Georgia Peach, Kelsey Anloff. Teen Miss Georgia Peach, Gabriel Brown. Junior Miss Georgia Peach, Bella Gray Sanders. Little Miss Georgia Peach, Brenna Leyland Bland. And the cute tiny one up there is Tiny Miss Georgia Peach, Elson Boggs. Ladies, thank y'all for being with us, and thank y'all for giving them a great welcome. Ladies, y'all do us proud from Peach County in Middle Georgia, and we know y'all going to be great leaders in the future. Thank y'all so much. And I have a resolution that I'll be happy to provide with y'all. Thank you. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Thank you. Some good-looking Georgia peaches up there. Good-looking young ladies. Thank y'all for being here today, and thank you, Senator, for recognizing them. I recognize the senator from the 15th for a point of personal privilege.
Brief, and I just want to tell a short story about March 8, 1965, and the lives of 3,500 United States Marines. Of that number, 2 are currently in Atlanta, Georgia. Cleveland Whitehead, a former police officer who served with the police department here, and Clarence Jenkins. The other one I want to talk about later on, but on that date, March 8, 1965, contingent of Marines from the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, went over the side of the net after the captain came on board from the USS Renville ship and announced that this is not a drill, this is not a drill, and so started the Vietnam War. Because of those 3,500 Marines, they were the first combat Marines to enter that theater that started the combat, the official combat contingent of that war. And I just want to recognize ultimately one person who was with me that day as well, and this is to honor the life of Elma Tony Stiltner. The state of Georgia mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished citizens of the passing of Elma Tony Stiltner on September 18th last year. Elma Tony Stiltner was born March 23rd in McR, Kentucky, the beloved son of John Stiltner and Kelsey Coleman Brown. He served as a guardian of the nation, freedom and liberty with the United States Marine Corps, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, when we served together. He was a self-employed farrier, that is, person who does horseshoes and take care of horses' feet. A man of deep and abiding faith, he was a supporter of the Christian Appalachian Project. He was united in love and marriage to his wife, Dolores Nasworth Stiltner, and was blessed with 6 remarkable children, Gazelle, Crystal, Thomas, Tony, Glenn, and Charles, and 10 wonderful grandchildren and several adored great-grandchildren. I just thought it would not be robbery to talk about at least 3 of those people, one who gave his life to his country, who served his country ultimately, Clarence Jenkins, Cleveland Whitehead, and ultimately Tony Stiltner, who retired as a sergeant major from the United States Marine Corps. So I just hope you remember that those 58,000 people that ultimately died from the war that started March 8, 1965, with 3,500 Marines that landed from the USS Renville. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 4th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, on your desk today, you have a report from Deloitte, which is an international accounting firm and consulting firm on the state of literacy in Georgia. So let me tell you a little bit about that. That report was done in November of 23, and it was published its report prepared free of charge for the Georgia Council on Literacy. The report, the State of Literacy, examines how low literacy impacts Georgia's workforce and the economy. I want you to understand the connection between literacy and Georgia's workforce and economy. If we want to continue being the best place to do business, we must have a literate Georgia workforce. Deloitte tells us in this report that 1 in 10 Georgia's adults are low literate. Low literate adults also make approximately $1 million a year less than adults with a high school degree. Low literacy, like poverty, and we've heard this many, many times, low literacy, like poverty, is a generational cycle. If the parents are low literate, their children are likely to also be low literate. Children with low literate parents are 72% more likely to be the lowest level of reading. You've heard this many, many times. 56% of our 3rd grade students are not ready for the next grade. The poverty rate for high school dropouts is 3 times as high as those with high school diplomas. In 2017, Deloitte reported that low literate adults cost Georgia over $1.26 billion per year, either in lost revenue, social services, or incarceration. The Georgia Department of Labor predicts that we will have 251,000 new jobs by 2028. Sadly, there are 800,000 adults that will not qualify for these jobs for lack of a high school diploma or a GED. And as we well know, 3 of the fastest growing industries in Georgia, healthcare, technology, and professional services, require higher education and literacy skills. So 800,000 Georgians are not qualified for these jobs. Senators, you've heard me say many times in this chamber, as literacy rates go up, crime goes down. As literacy rates goes up, teenage pregnancy goes down. As literacy rates goes up, drug use goes down. As literacy rates go up, human trafficking goes down. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Recognize Senator from the 35th to speak on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is a great day in the Senate. I know you saw the women from Spelman College already. That's where my mother and my oldest sister graduated from. But today, we're going to talk about the best HBCU in the state of Georgia, and that's Morris Brown College. So Senator from the 36th, come stand with me because it's in your district. And from the 6th and the 10th, will y'all come and stand with me because you're the host as well. Come stand up here with me. But our Dr. Kevin James, president of Morris Brown College, is here. But when Morris Brown College announced that Dr. Faroki was retiring after 43 years, he was overwhelmed by phone calls, emails, and social media posts he received from previous students all over the world. Where are you, Dr. Faroki? Step out so they can see you a little bit here. I see. But since 1981, Dr. Faroki has taught various subjects about politics, social science, and business to MBC students semester after semester, lasting longer than 10 college presidents and 6 AME bishops. He even saw the school during its darkest time, and the light is shining now. He's still there. He's still working for us. Now that the school has regained its accreditation and is back on its feet, yes, you can clap for that. It's an excellent time to pursue other endeavors and continue to give others, is what Dr. Faroki has said. Step out a little bit, Dr. Faroki. So they take a few steps out so they see who you are. He was my professor. And he's still there working very, very hard. When it comes to connecting with his students, he knows that you have to invest in them to succeed. Even though he's retiring at the end of this semester, he wants to continue mentoring students and parents in Cobb County High School with filling out college and financial aid applications. But his imprint on Morris Brown College is far from over. Faroki established the Doctors Naroha and Beth Faroki Endowment Scholarship Fund, and it will support Morris Brown students and the Board of Trustees. as they announce the teaching, learning, and innovation in his honor. Dr. Faroki, we appreciate you. We know you have a son that's the city council person right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's taller than you, but he has your name and your genes. And he has your will to help the people. We're joined also by Walleen Smith. Where are you, Walleen? Step out a little bit. She retired from the GBI, so she put up with us for a long time. We have Miss Morris Brown, Ashley Davis. Come and step out. We have Dr. Shirley Barlow. She and her husband are both with our alumni and been the president and moving around not only the state of Georgia, but all over the world. Dr. Betty Ann Cook was upstairs a few minutes ago with Spelman College. You remember her. She was the Georgia Highway Safety Director for many years. And she also was our very own Morris Brown College professor as well. So she's still downstairs in one of the rooms to greet you. Dr. Faroki, it's my honor. You want to give it to him? It's my honor. You want to step up a little bit? To present to you an Outstanding Georgia Citizen Award. And we have a resolution that's been passed by this Senate for you as well, and for Morris Brown Day. Okay, I know. Okay, I'm trying. It's more than 130 years Morris Brown College has received and nurtured students around the world. The institution's deep-seated commitment to a profound purpose, diligence of efforts, hard work, perseverance, and beliefs, and trust in God provides success to opportunity and educational development. And today, we proclaim March 20th, 2024 as Morris Brown College Day at the state capitol.
All right. Good job, Senator. Thank you. Glad to have everybody down here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you. Glad to have y'all. Recognize the Senator from the 7th for appointed personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to talk about Georgia's healthcare system. As we know that Georgia has the 3rd largest uninsured population in the entire nation. Today I read some numbers about our alternative to Medicaid expansion, Georgia Pathways program, and so far it has cost taxpayers $26 million. Of that, 90% has gone to overhead, so admin and consulting costs. And we've only been able to insure 3,500 people. Now, 3,500 people is not a lot of folks. We have nearly 500,000 hardworking Georgians in the state of Georgia that still need healthcare access. And about 45% of people that have applied on Georgia Pathways are still waiting to be heard. I know that Georgia still has the capacity and the will, Georgians have the capacity and the will to pass Medicaid expansion. We can join our recent states, Mississippi, North Carolina, Arkansas, in making sure that our citizens that are vulnerable and need health care get the coverage that they need. And so if they can do it with strong bipartisan support, I believe Georgia can too. So again, this is my plea to please pass full Medicaid expansion in the state of Georgia because we clearly need it. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I yield.
You have before you consent calendar, privilege resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolution on the consent calendar is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 28th.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent that HB 814 be withdrawn from the general calendar and be committed to the Committee on Rules.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 814, a bill by Representative Camp of the 135th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to imposition, rate, computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes, so as to revise the definition of the term qualified investment property with respect to income tax credits for certain manufacturing and telecommunications facilities and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Without objection, move it to the rules calendar. Recognize the senator again for another motion.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that HB 972, HB 1061, HB 1062, HB 1067 be withdrawn from the Committee on SLOGO Local and be committed to the Committee on SLOGO General.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 972 by Representative Horner of the 3rd and others, a bill to entitle an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection B of Code Section 481351 of the OCGA, to provide procedures, conditions, and limitations, to provide for related matters and for other purposes. The next one. House Bill 1061 by Representative Lumpson of the 12th. A bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Somerville to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection B of Code Section 481351 of the OCGA, to provide procedures, conditions, and limitations, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. House Bill 1062 by Representative Lumpson of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of Chattooga County to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection B of Code Section 481351 of the OCGA, to provide for procedures, conditions, and limitations, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. House Bill 1067 by Representative Lumpson of the 12th, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of the town of Tryon to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection B of Code Section 481351 of the OCGA, to provide procedures, conditions, and limitations, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? We have objection. Senator from the 28th, you have 3 minutes to speak on it if you choose. And then Senator, you have 3 minutes as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from the 53rd, I have defended in the past, and after witnessing what I saw the other day, I was appalled, and I was disappointed in his behavior. And we had members of some of his local delegations, county commissioners, and local cities had reached out and were upset with him, not just in his actions, but also his inactions, and his inactions to move his local bills. And I do not take this measure lightly. I don't want to do this, and I would never do this if it wasn't for good reason. But again, his actions that happened the other day were unacceptable. And I'm asking y'all to vote with me to vote with his citizens that are not being represented right now, moving their bills from the local committee over to the general, so that they can be general bills and not local bills, and they will get a fair vetting. So I ask for your favorable support.
Recognize the senator from the 53rd. Speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The motion that was just made to me is absolutely unbelievable. It's a motion of retaliation for exercising free speech on a resolution to name a building after a person that I objected to. The president said it wasn't the time and the place, but there was no other time and place to make my objection. As the Senate will know, the day before, when we motioned to suspend the rules to have that resolution, I was the only one to object because I didn't want to have to give that speech, but my constituents demanded that I did. Same with these bills here. These are tax increases that the citizens of Northwest Georgia don't want. You see, they're excise taxes on hotels and motels. You see, the leadership in those counties, they come to me and they say, we need this tax to help promote tourism. But you see, those hotels, they have one job. That's to fill the rooms. They make the money off of their patrons, and I think they best know how to use it to promote tourism, not a government entity who's going to be, in some cases up here, giving the money to a chamber of commerce who is completely unelected. Those are taxpayer dollars. Just because a leadership class in my home district wants to raise taxes on the citizens of Northwest Georgia sent me here to this well to defend them. Vote however you please, but know that you're voting to represent my constituents. We are a legislative body, and I'm beside myself with this type of retaliation. You know, freedom of speech is being able to hear what you don't want to hear. I ask that you do not move these bills to the general calendar. Please, vote no, and let's have respect for this Senate. Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll yield for any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator from the 51st, do you wish to speak to the measure? Okay. Never mind. Hold on, if you have a motion, Senator, just hold off on it for right now. So the motion on the table right now is from the senator from the 28th asking for unanimous consent to move HB 972, 1061, 1062, and 1067 from state and local government local to state and local government general. We have an objection from the senator from the 53rd. We will just vote this. We'll put it on the board. All those in favor of the motion from the senators from the 28th will vote yes. All those against will vote no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 44 and the nays are 1. and this motion has prevailed. I recognize the senator from the 51st for a motion.
Thank you. Good morning. I ask for unanimous consent that House Bill 625 be withdrawn from the general calendar and be committed to the Committee on Rules.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 625, a bill by Representative Mathis of the 149th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 16 of Title 45 of the OCGA relating to coroners, so as to provide that coroners are full-time county employees, to set salaries of deputy coroners, to provide minimum salaries of coroners, to remove certain death investigation fees, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Without objection, Senator, your motion to have the bill HB 625 recommitted to rules is accepted. Recognize the senator from the 43rd. For what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 44th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 44th is excused. You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Ms. Secretary, have any objections been filed for any of the bills on the local consent calendar?
Mr. President, no objections have been filed.
Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bill on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Questions on the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? All those in favor will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 1. This bill on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. I recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's time to get to work. I ask for unanimous consent that the following bills and resolutions be engrossed at this time. House Bill 808, House Bill 1015, and House Bill 1023.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 808, a bill by Representative Chokas of the 151st and others, a bill to be adopted act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to property tax exemptions and deferral so as to increase a statewide ad valorem tax exemption for tangible personal property and for other purposes. House Bill 1023, a bill by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others, a bill to be adopted act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to the imposition, rate, computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes and for other purposes. House Bill 1015, a bill by Representative McDonald of the 26th and others, a bill to be adopted act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to the imposition, rate, computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? We got a couple of objections. All right, those, Senator, Majority Leader, would you like to speak to it? You waive? Okay. You waive too, Senator from 22nd, and then Senator from the 53rd, you'd like to speak? You got 10 minutes in the well. Should be on, Senator.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we separate and divide the question by removing House Bill 1015 from the question.
All right, the Senator from the 53rd would like to separate House Bill 1015 from the question on the motion from the Senator from the 51st. Is there objection to that motion? You object. Hey, Senator, in sake of time, why don't we just go ahead and vote them two separate ways, all right? If you'd like to separate it out. All right, so the motion on, so that's what we'll do, Senator. We'll vote for the measure that you're liking by itself. And would you like to speak to that? You got 10 minutes, Senator.
Mr. President, thank you. House Bill 1015. What is House Bill 1015? Has anybody read it? A 0.1% reduction of the income tax. I've talked about this at this well before. It's going to take 54 years to repeal the income tax. Now, why in the world would we engross this piece of legislation? Because we can't make it any smaller. You see, we ought to debate this and make it a little bigger. We haven't passed a budget yet. All of you Republicans love to go home to your districts and talk about cutting the income tax. But it'll be a fraud when you go back home and you say, I'm only cutting the income tax by 1/10 of a point. You see, if we're going to be serious, as the senator from the 2nd likes to say, about repealing the income tax, we're going to have to do a heck of a lot better than 0.1%. And that's why I ask that we don't engross this so we can have a debate on it. Now, it's a pretty serious subject. Maybe we motion later to table it and go offline and talk about it a little bit more. But my goodness, Mr. President, we dish out corporate subsidies left and right. We're losing hundreds of millions of dollars in the electric vehicle space. And meanwhile, our teachers can't get a proper salary. Our state troopers can't get a proper salary. Those things that are the proper role of government. because we dish all our money out in corporate subsidies and then we talk about lowering the income tax. This piece of legislation is a fraud to our constituents. But I don't guess we care about our constituents anymore, Mr. President, because just before this, we voted to take my voice away representing my constituents and move taxes. This Republican-controlled Senate wants to tax my citizens in Northwest Georgia and then fraudulently say that we have an income tax reduction in 1015. I ask that we do not engross House Bill 1015, and I'll yield for any and all questions, Mr. President.
You do have one question, Senator. Bring it out, Senator from 36.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Senator Yield.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Senator, in reference to hotel, motel taxes, is it not true that the people in my district are paying those taxes in your district because they go to North Georgia and enjoy time in a nice hotel and all of the scenic beauty that North Georgia offers? So isn't it a little more accurate to say that people from other places are paying the tax, not your citizens?
Senator, I don't disagree with you one bit, but instead of those tax dollars going to a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in a chamber of commerce, that money then goes into the pockets of those who are supplying the rooms and hotels and motels. You see, Senator, in Northwest Georgia, we believe in the free enterprise system. We don't believe in dishing out our tax dollars to a government who's going to then dish it out to unelected bureaucrats or promote tourism, as they say they're going to do. I think a hotel or a motel knows best how to advertise their hotel than a government. But, Senator, that has nothing to do with House Bill 1015, because House Bill 1015 is about income tax reduction, and that affects your constituents just as it does mine.
Further inquiry?
Yes,
Isn't
Senator.
it true with that the majority leader had placed on our desk a beautiful testament to North Georgia and all the wonders that are there for us to enjoy statewide, as well as people who come from all over the country and sometimes outside of our country to enjoy the beauties and treasures that North Georgia holds. Is that not true?
That's absolutely true, Senator. You and I both have roots in Appalachia. You and I both recognize that in Appalachia, people have been struggling for funds for generations. And when we finally have an opportunity to bring in a populace of Atlanta to come in and enjoy that scenic beauty that we've been enjoying for generations, we don't want to give all the money to a bunch of, in many cases, government crooks. You see, we want to put that money and advertise on our own billboards. Let me give you an instance. My family's got some Airbnbs. My parents used the money to pay the mortgage, to pay the insurance, to pay the taxes. And when these taxes come in, they barely make ends meet. So why should they give that share to the government, $900, $800 a month in taxes to the government, when they could go out and buy a billboard on the side of the interstate for $800 or $900 and promote their own business? Mr. President, I'll yield for any more questions.
No, sir. We're going to have plenty of time to debate this, sir. But after we do we're just talking about whether or not we're going to engross it or not.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just ask this body to vote no on engrossment so we can talk about the underlining bill here, 1015, which is a fraud of income tax reduction. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Any other senators wish to speak on either one of these measures? All right, here's the posture where we're in. The senator from the 51st is asked to engross HB 808, HB 1015, and HB 1023. The senator from the 53rd objected, and he has every right to do so, on 1015 being engrossed. So we're just going to separate the two. So the first vote will be to engross 808 and 1023. All right? And then we'll take up the other measure separately. So we're going to voting right now to engross or not engross House Bill 808 or House Bill 1023. All those in favor of the motion, the majority leader, will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 31, the nays are 22, and the motion has prevailed. So now we're on the motion from the Majority Leader on House Bill 1015. The objection came from the Senator from the 53rd. All those in favor of the motion from the Majority Leader will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 28 and the nays are 21, and the motion has failed. Recognize Senator for 51st.
Thank you. Motion to reconsider the engrossment vote, please.
The Senator from the 51st has asked that it be reconsidered. Is there objection? Objection. Well, we'll get ready for a vote on a vote. So all those in favor of the reconsideration will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to reconsider, the yeas are 33 and the nays are 21. So now we are on the motion to engross. And those in favor, what's that? On House Bill 1015, on the motion to engross, all those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 32, the nays are 21, and this motion has prevailed, and this 1015 is engrossed. Moving on to the rules calendar. Senator from the 33rd, what purpose do you rise?
Yes, Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 35th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 35th is excused. On to the rules calendar. Starting with House Bill 285. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 285, a bill by Representative Franklin of the 160th and others, a bill to be entitled Act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 20 of Title 47 of the OCGA, the Public Retirement Systems Investment Authority Law, so as to raise the limit for the total percentage of funds that the Employees Retirement System of Georgia may invest in alternative investments and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Williams of the 25th District, Chairman. Senator Kauser of the 46 and others offer the following Amendment 1 to amend House Bill 285 by replacing lines 4 and 5 with the following. Alternative investments to provide for retirement system divestment from certain Chinese entities, to provide for definitions, to provide for a timeline for compliance, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 16th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very simple bill and just changing some percentages. I'll speak to this just about. Look at alternate investments. Somebody says, what are those? Well, interesting. We have 27 million companies in America, 27 million, and of that, only 1% are traded publicly from that standpoint. So the biggest part of our economy is a privately owned company. What this does is allows us to invest from 5% to 10% in alternative investments that are available. It does not change the fiduciary rules for those that manage the funds, but it gives them the opportunity. And also, the experience has been extremely good on that 5% we're doing. And what we're asking for is to increase that by 5% to a total of 10%. And it's a very simple change. Hey. Should I walk? What? You never know. Okay. And I'm also open to the amendment that has been placed on the bill as well.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, sir.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? I recognize the senator from the 46th speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is an amendment that came to my attention as I was reviewing and studying this bill, exactly what we're doing with these alternative investments, the alternate investments. It's important that this allows our retirement systems to invest in any domestic investments or those from outside of the United States, from foreign countries. We've been spending some time in this body on the agricultural land protection bill that prohibited any foreign adversaries from buying our agricultural land or from buying land near military bases, so it kind of got me tuned into this. I realize that our retirement plans are also investing in assets, equities, different investments from our foreign adversaries, which seems nonsensical to me to support them financially as they attempt to harm us. This picks out only China as one that we should not allow our retirement plans to be investing in, especially alternative investments that are not even publicly traded instruments from those countries. If I'd have had more time, I probably would have listed all foreign adversaries. Maybe later in this process we can do it. So this is to require our retirement plans to refrain from investment in companies supported by our foreign adversaries and to divest themselves over a period of time of their current investments. So I would ask for your favorable consideration of Amendment 1. It's joined into by the author of this bill. I'll yield for questions if there are any.
You do.
All right.
Senator, would you like to come to the front, or do you have a question? Not the senator from the 42nd. If you have a question, it's the appropriate time for you to ask.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairman. Do you yield?
I yield.
Did this bill go through any committee?
This has not gone through committee.
Okay. What I'm looking at line 30.
Non-fiscal impact. It's not increasing any cost.
Oh, I understand that. It just has a lot of references to
Just defines
complicated laws that obviously I haven't had a chance to look at or cross-reference. So given that, so that's why I was wondering if it had gone through committee and had an opportunity to have public input or anyone, one of our membership here in the chamber, to try to look up these federal regulations and ask questions about them.
Generally, they, at lines 24 and 27, they're Chinese military industrial complex companies. There's a list of those kept by the United States Department of the Treasury and the Office of Foreign Assets Control, and the presidential orders have done that. Lines 27, we're talking about Chinese military companies or military civilian fusion. So we're looking at Chinese efforts there to bulk up their military to beat us, their stated goal, the communist country, and it's relatively straightforward. These are just making sure we capture those type of companies. Those are sort of technical definitions that have been established by the federal government.
Yes, sir. Isn't it true that I'm just having a little, I just can't really, I'm having trouble deciding that I will vote for your amendment only because it's got a lot of complicated language. And
I understand, and that's one of the strengths of our body. We are deliberative. I was surprised in the China land bill that the Georgia realtors are apparently fighting that. We asked them, are y'all communist sympathizers or what? I mean, and I think they have an answer to that. And I'm not accusing you of that, Senator. I know you're a great patriot, but thank you for your question.
yes, I just, isn't it true that it may be great, but I haven't had time to really review all these.
Understood.
Thank you.
Senator from the 41st, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, do you yield?
I yield.
Could you speak to the underlying bill as it relates to increasing from 5% to 10% in these alternative investments? Can you just speak to any concerns that might raise, or and really what does that mean?
Senator, I appreciate your question. You know, sometimes I lose more bills than I win, and when I saw this opportunity, it was try to make the best out of a bad situation. It was an opportunity for me to advance a policy goal that I think is worthy when I fear that the underlying bill will pass. I have grave concerns about these alternate investments because I don't think this body really understands what we're talking about. These are not publicly traded stocks and bonds. You know, these are not the type of investments that you would want in your retirement plan because you want something secure you can count on that you're not going to lose it. They are highly speculative, highly risky investments. And as a result of that, you know, risk and reward, if they are successful, they have larger than average rates of return, and they can make these plans look good. But if they blow up on you, which they often do, there's a much higher risk of that happening than them being successful, then you can have huge losses. These include, and you know, one of the bad things about these bills is they're only showing you the portions of the underlying statute that change. So I have the underlying statute here, and it's Title 47-2087. And they define page and a half of alternate investments. They are privately placed investment pools, leveraged buyout funds, mezzanine funds, even I can't describe what that is. I don't think anybody in here can. Workout funds, debt funds, venture capital funds, merchant banking funds, funds of funds, and secondary funds. So some of these are so technical. They include derivative investments. Warren Buffett was famous years ago when we had the big crash. He said, we have people that are investing derivatives that are not stocks, they're not bonds, they're not even options. Their value is based on what some other investment asset does. So those are included here. And it says clearly these are organized or operating in one of the states or territories of the United States or outside the United States. They can be private placements of private investments. But largely you're getting into venture capital funds buying and start up new companies that are not even publicly traded. If you buy them, you're stuck with them. That you cannot, they're not liquid. Many times they have limitations for 6 months or a year before you can even sell them back to anyone. And so we're talking about things, warrants, stock options. This is allowing investors to buy stock options, which is a bet that a stock will go up or down. You don't even own the equity itself. They are distressed debt and equity investments. These are distressed companies or companies that are about to go under. They're either on the verge of going out of business or filing bankruptcy, and they're begging for a lifeline to give you an equity stake in them. Where if they make it and don't go under, then you make a lot of money. But you're buying a potential losing proposition. Receivables. Receivables are accounts receivable from somebody owes them money, you can buy their receivables. These are just crazy type of investments to be using retirement funds for. And when I sit in here and every year in our budget, we're putting 100, 300, this year I think $500 million to shore up our funds. If these investments blow up, they're going to be coming back asking for $1 billion. I'd rather play it safe and sound. I'll forgo these exorbitant returns from exotic investments in exchange for the security for our retirees. Now, you got me off my amendment, but since you asked, that's where I feel.
Senator from the 56, do you have a question? Senator from the 2nd, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the Senator yield?
I will to my friend from Savannah.
Senator, I just have a quick question. When you talked about the alternative investments, and you grabbed my attention when you talked about losses. Who would be responsible for the losses in any of these funds? Should they sustain losses by investing in alternative investments? Who would front the bill for that?
The retirement fund itself. They're taking up to 10% of all the funds in the retirement fund to invest in these speculative investments, and that retirement fund would take the loss. My fear is they might ask us to come backfill that loss. Taxpayers.
Thank you, Senator. That was my question. Would the General Assembly have to fund any of these losses should they sustain massive losses?
You got it, Senator. We would have a choice. We would either then underfund these retirement plans we promised these people, or else we would have to financially backfill that investment.
You have one more question, Senator. I recognize the Senator from the 55th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parliament to inquire, please. The amendment is 3 pages long. The bill is 2 pages.
Yes.
So
it would make this the great catch. It would make this a substitute bill. The sponsor is aware of this. It will go to the top of the calendar for tomorrow for final action. Automatic.
according to the rules.
That is according to the rules.
That is according to the rules?
Yeah, if you have an amendment that is longer than the original bill, it then becomes a substitute bill. And a substitute bill can't be considered till it goes to the top of the calendar tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And sponsors willing to do that to let us consider this, and I am as well. If it was day 40, it'd be a bill killer, but it's day 37, so this will be on day 38.
All right, I'm satisfied with that. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator.
You have no more questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 56 to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to help clear up confusion of what an alternative investment is. With great respect to everyone that has spoken in the past, anyone here that has money in multiple accounts, whether it be your retirement accounts or with a broker, almost everyone has alternative investments. Less than 1% of all business, hear this again, less than 1% of all businesses are publicly traded. That means more than 99% of every other business in America would be considered an alternative investment. The state started doing this years ago, and we began with using the firefighter pension fund at 5%. In fact, I remember that there was an uproar with our teachers at the time who were scared to death that we would ever do that in their pension plan until they saw the returns, which way outperformed the market. Not a little, a lot. So much that then they asked for it, and we added it to them. And we continue to grow. If anybody knows anything about investing, you know you want to have a diversified portfolio. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. As an example, I'm betting that your individual retirement funds aren't full of one single company or stock. You diversify that. You pick different industries, different organizations, different companies, things you might have a particular interest, passion in. You might invest something locally in a business. Alternative investments are excellent. And taking up to 10% is a heck of a lot better than having all of your money in the stock market. Think about just the last 3 years of the volatility of the stock market. We've watched it go up thousands of points, down thousands of points, and then up and down again. We pay fund managers very handsomely to look at each one of the investments, to thoroughly vet them, to make sure what they're investing is good. And that's why we have pension funds and the financial analysts that work alongside to make sure they pick the right dollars and investments. This is a very good bill, and I think that if you were all to take a look at your very own personal savings and retirement accounts, you actually have them yourself. Thank you. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 37th to speak to the measure. You waive. Senator from the 52nd, would you like to speak to the measure?
Thank you, Mr. President. A little history on these. Before the last 8 years of being a finance chair, I was retirement chair for 2 years during the time when we started these at 5%, and stayed on as retirement vice chair for 4 years. And I think it's correct. You wouldn't want to have 100% of these in something like this. It would be too risky. If you're 70 years old, you probably don't want to do them. Your portfolio changes as you get older. I know mine has. But so far, these have well outperformed everything else we've been doing, which means it has decreased the cost to the state of Georgia of money having to be supplemented into it. Now, they're risky. It can go different directions, obviously. There is risk involved, but again, 90% of it is still going to be there if these things went to zero, which they're not going to. I think that they have proven themselves, and this is why the firefighters kept going up on them, because they kept realizing they were making more money on them. And we're in for the long haul on these. This isn't a 5-year plan. It isn't somebody that's 70, 80 years old. We want to know where this fund's going to be 40 years from now, and the data says putting money into these will give us more money in the fund and require less money from the taxpayer. So I would urge that you support this measure. Thank you.
Sorry, Senator, I had my floor leaders from the House over here. They're not doing a very good job over there. They still can't get my bill out. I'm about to see if the whip wants to come on as a floor leader or not. All right, is any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Senator from the 16th, would you like to close debate? You'll waive? Okay. All right, so we're in the posture on Amendment 1 authored by the senator from the 46. Is there objection? We have objection to the amendment. All those, so we'll just go ahead and vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of the amendment, the yeas are 39 and the nays are 14, and this amendment is adopted. I want to echo what the chairman from the 46 said while he was in the well, that the amendment is longer than 1/2 the length of the document it seeks to amend. Thus, pursuant to our Senate rules 7-1.6, the bill is automatically reconsidered and will be placed on the top of the calendar for tomorrow, so to be considered again. So the underlining bill itself will be reconsidered. It'll be at the top of the rules calendar for tomorrow for a final vote. So. I just came to the realization that it's 1 o'clock and we just did our first bill for the day. So congratulations, Senate. And it wasn't even a complete bill either. So we're going to do a couple bills here, and then we'll break for lunch. I know the Pro Tem has lunch ready for everybody. But moving on the rules calendar right now, House Bill 456. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 456, a bill by Representative Gunter of the 8th and others. A bill is being taught an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 32 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding municipal courts, so as to increase the term for municipal court judges from 1 year to 2 years, unless otherwise provided for in a municipality's charter and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 456. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 32 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding municipal courts, so to increase the term for municipal court judges from 1 year to 2 years unless otherwise provided for in a municipality's charter and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 50th, the good man from Habersham County.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple bill that revises the terms of appointment for municipal judges from 1 year to 2 years, and it provides grounds for municipalities to remove municipal judges for a breach of contract. And ask for your favorable consideration, and we'll get these bills passed. I yield well.
You have no questions, Senator. Senator's yielded. Senator from the 33rd, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 40th for business inside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 40th is excused. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Moving on to House Bill 808. Secretary, Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 808, a bill by Representative Chokos of the 151st and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the OCGA relating to property tax exemptions and deferral so as to increase a statewide ad valorem tax exemption for tangible personal property and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Finance recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. Additionally, there is a fiscal note attached. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from 56. We go to straight vote if you want to, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm proud to bring House Bill 808 before you today, which helps out what's called personal property taxes. And this is a small business bill brought to us by the NFIB, the leading small business association in Georgia and in America. There is something called tangible property tax that our businesses have to pay each and every year. This states that the current exemption, which was set and passed by this legislative body 23 years ago, will go from $7,500 to $20,000 to adjust for the cost of inflation. It's important that we do this in order to help our small businesses. There's been some confusion that maybe for some reason this is helping out just big corporations. I promise you it is not. This is actually helping your small business. It is your landscaper. It is your restaurants. So what happens each and every year is even the senator from the 19th law firm will help. Don't use that as a reason to vote against the bill, though, please. But you have to think about this. Let's say that I owned a landscaping company and I bought all the equipment from my landscaping company. And then the end of the year, if I still own all that equipment, I have to then pay tax on it again. It'd be the same if you went out and bought a kitchen table At the end of the year in your house, then they would charge you again for the fact you still have a kitchen table. It's double taxation. And to an average business owner, it could save about $1,000 a year. Think about all the struggling small businesses in each and every one of your districts that are getting double taxed on their business today. Give you an idea of why this is so important is competitiveness on states around us. So Alabama, just next door to us, theirs is $45,000. Florida is currently at $25,000, but they're getting ready right now to pass legislative to make it $50,000. We're simply going up to $20,000 to adjust for inflation. I know this can be confusing to some people, but anyone in this room that owns a small business has seen this before, and you'll see it again. I hope you'll stand today and support our small businesses here in Georgia so they can thrive. And I always like to remind people, we always love seeing big announcements of large companies that are coming in and out of our great state. However, 9 out of 10 jobs are small business jobs. They're not large businesses. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield for any questions.
You do have a question, Senator. Recognize Senator from 37th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the gentleman will yield?
Yes, Senator.
So isn't it true that what this does, just to break it down to simple language, is if a small business owns a laptop computer, they not only pay a sales tax when they buy it, but they pay tax on this every year. Is that true?
That is exactly correct.
Isn't it true that the desk chair that a small business owner buys, every year they pay tax on that through this process, do they not?
That is exactly correct. You could include that in a restaurant. It could be the refrigerator. It could be the stove. It could be landscapers, mowers, chainsaws, anything.
So chainsaws, desk chairs, computers, desks, all those things are taxed every year as tangible personal property. And right now, you're exempt for $7,500. This just means you're exempt under $20,000, correct?
And to account for the inflation that we've all seen since this bill originally passed 23 years ago.
Appreciate the bill.
Thank you.
You have no further questions, Senator.
Thank you. I urge your favorable consideration.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Senator from 22nd, would you like to parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator for the 10th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 10th is excused. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All in favor, vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 56th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I'd ask motion to reconsider this to help the small businesses of Georgia.
All right, hold that thought for a second. On the passes of the bill, the yeas are 33, the nays are 18. and this bill needing 2/3 of majority has failed. Meet that mark. Now, your motion is in order.
Mr. President, I move we reconsider.
The
vote on
senator
HB
has
808.
moved that we reconsider House Bill 808. Is there objection? What's that? Since we're not in the last 3 days, Senator, your motion to reconsider and the objection to it, we will consider it'll be at the top of the Rules County first thing in the morning. So, Senator from the 37th, for what purpose do you rise? You waive? Okay. Senator from the 55th, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State
President.
your inquiry.
Isn't it true that the bill goes back to rules? It doesn't automatically get put on top of the calendar?
Senator, if you approach the roster, well, I'll show you in the rule book here. All right, this will be our last bill before we break for lunch. House Bill 935. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 935, a bill by Representative Vance of the 133rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to use of speed detection devices and red light cameras so as to provide for standards for a conviction through the use of speed devices, to provide for terms when a school zone speed limit may be enforced through the use of an automated traffic enforcement safety device, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the Senator from the 20th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I realize I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'll try to be as brief as I can, but don't let the caption that was just read confuse you. This is actually the Lieutenant Governor's Back the Blue bill that we passed last year as Senate Bill 110. It passed February 23rd of 23 with a vote of 52-0. The House, in their wisdom, decided to commandeer the bill. They love the bill, but they want to get credit for it, so they put it on a House bill, which is okay with us. We just want to get the job done. We've done a lot over the last few years for our state law enforcement. We have been looking for ways to try to help our local law enforcement, and this will allow the citizens of Georgia voluntarily to show their appreciation for our sheriff deputies and jailers, post-certified employees of the sheriffs. By when they do their vehicle registration, there'll be a voluntary check-off on the registration to contribute $5 to the Back the Blue Fund, which will be collected by the Department of Revenue, then distributed annually to the Georgia Sheriff's Association, who will then distribute it equally to all 159 sheriffs. The money can only be used for bonuses for post-certified employees of the sheriff department, not including the sheriff. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I ask for your favorable consideration to show unified support for the men and women that are working to keep our communities safe every day.
You have no questions, Senator.
I really thank the Lieutenant Governor for letting me carry this important piece of legislation, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. This is a bill I started my last year in the Senate, and I couldn't get it done, Senator. It just needed a good, strong, steady hand like the senator from the 20th to get it done. So there we go. Give him a round of applause. It didn't hurt that I was running against a guy who, for lieutenant governor, as pro tem, but that didn't help my cause. But I think I did all right. So, all right, we're going to break for lunch. Senator from the 20th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, you deserve all the credit for
no, you got it done, Senator. You got it done, Senator.
You've been a steady and steadfast friends of law enforcement, and especially our sheriffs and deputies. Thank you.
Oh, I love the senator knows what he speaks. I tell you what. All right, let's break for lunch. We'll stand at recess. Try to come back in about 2:30. Pro Tem has lunch for the members, and we'll be back around 2:30. Thank y'all.